Imagine being a college dropout, yet going on to build a company that would redefine an entire industry. Picture a young man obsessed with computers at a time when most people had never even seen one. While others saw technology as a niche hobby, he saw the future. This is the story of Bill Gates, the billionaire visionary who transformed how the world works, learns, and communicates. He wasn't just a software genius. He was a relentless thinker, a fierce competitor, and a leader who pushed boundaries to shape modern technology. But what made him different? What fueled his obsession? How did he rise to global influence? And what lessons can we take from his journey? In this summary, we dive deep into the mindset, strategies, and decisions that shaped Bill Gates' legacy. Whether you dream of success, innovation, or simply want to think like a genius, this is a story you don't want to miss. Let's begin. The early life of Bill Gates. Bill Gates' journey to success was not a typical rags-to-riches story. He wasn't born into poverty, nor did he struggle financially in his early years. Instead, he grew up in an upper-middle-class family. But what makes his childhood remarkable is not where he came from, but the values and habits that shaped his thinking. His parents were strict about television. They did not allow their children to watch TV on school nights. But Gates hardly minded. He was never particularly interested in watching TV. Instead, his parents encouraged activities that stimulated intellectual growth, such as reading, engaging conversations, and playing mentally challenging games. Family vacations played an important role in shaping his competitive nature. The Gates family often traveled with other families, and one of the highlights of these trips was the mini Olympics they organized. These friendly competitions helped fuel young Bill's natural drive to challenge himself and compete with others. At school, his fascination with science and mathematics was evident. He was exceptionally gifted in these subjects and later achieved a perfect 800 score on the math section of the S8. But his true passion ignited when he saw a computer for the first time in 1968. At that time, computers were incredibly expensive. Owning one required millions of dollars. Schools could not afford them outright, so instead, they subscribed to shared computing services that allowed students to connect to remote mainframe computers. Gates quickly became obsessed, spending hours working on these machines. Eventually, he coded his first digital game, tic-tac-toe. However, he soon realized that using the school's computer was costly. The system charged $8 per hour, a significant amount for any student. To continue pursuing his passion, he needed a solution. Determined to keep learning, Gates sought a job that would allow him access to computers. Around this time, a new company called C-Cubed opened in his city. At just 13 years old, Gates secured a position there, using his knowledge of computers. His job was to find and fix bugs in the company's programs. In exchange, he was granted unlimited free access to the company's computers. By the time he was 15, Gates had taken on an even more complex project. He developed a program called Traf-O-Data, which collected and analyzed traffic data in Seattle, helping traffic engineers optimize road usage. This was an early demonstration of his ability to combine technology with real-world problem-solving. When it was time for college, Gates enrolled at Harvard. However, attending classes wasn't his priority. He focused only on subjects that challenged his intellect and ignored the ones that didn't interest him. His true passion remained in the computer lab, where he spent countless hours refining his skills. His sharp memory and natural problem-solving ability helped him grasp programming languages faster than most. These early experiences played a crucial role in shaping Bill Gates into the visionary leader he would later become. His curiosity, problem-solving mindset, and relentless drive to explore the world of computers laid the foundation for his future success. Gates' heroes. Unlike most children, Bill Gates didn't have a long list of heroes, but the few individuals he admired left a deep impact on him. One of his earliest inspirations was Sir Isaac Newton, whose groundbreaking discoveries in physics fascinated him. Another was Leonardo da Vinci, a polymath whose curiosity and innovation resonated with Gates's own way of thinking. As he grew older, Gates found inspiration in business leaders like Henry Ford. Ford's ability to revolutionize the automobile industry was remarkable to him. However, Gates's admiration for Ford faded when he saw how Ford struggled to sustain his success. One figure who remained a constant source of inspiration for Gates was Warren Buffett. Their first meeting took place in 1991 at a party organized by Gates' mother. Despite coming from different industries, they connected instantly. They found they had much in common: similar humor, shared political views, and even a preference for the same kind of food. One of the most amusing moments from their friendship happened when they traveled to China together. Despite their immense wealth, they chose to eat at McDonald's. What stood out was that Buffett paid not with cash, but with a free meal voucher. His reasoning? Successful people never miss an opportunity to make the most of available resources. Gates took this lesson to heart. Even today, when faced with major decisions, he often asks himself, what would Buffett do? This mindset has guided him in both business and life, reinforcing the value of strategic thinking and resourcefulness. Microsoft. Opportunities are meant to be seized. If you fail to act at the right time, you risk losing something valuable. Bill Gates' big opportunity came in 1975 when his childhood friend and future Microsoft co-founder, Paul Allen, came across an article about a new machine called the Altair 8800. It was a simple box with flashing lights, nothing like the computers we recognize today. Excited by its potential, Gates and Allen decided to push the machine beyond its basic functionality. They envisioned a software program that could make it truly useful. To bring their vision to life, they approached Ed Roberts, the founder of MIETS, the company behind the Altair 8800. Gates boldly claimed that he and Allen had already developed software that could run on the machine, a statement that wasn't entirely true yet. This was a turning point. Gates managed to convince Roberts to let them demonstrate their software to the company's board of directors in just 6 weeks. The only problem? The software didn't exist yet. With time running out, Gates and Allen worked tirelessly to create it from scratch. On the day of the demonstration, Allen presented their newly built software to MITS. The board was impressed. This was something they had never seen before. MITS agreed to buy the software for $3,000, along with a share of future profits. This success fueled Gates and Allen's dream of starting their own company. At a time when the concept of a software company didn't even exist, they decided to create one. They named their company Microsoft, combining micro from microcomputers and soft from software. Later, they dropped the hyphen, and Microsoft was born, the company that would revolutionize the tech world. From the start, Gates was highly selective about hiring employees. He focused on fresh graduates, young minds not yet influenced by traditional corporate thinking. He wanted sharp, adaptable individuals who could immerse themselves in Microsoft's unique software development process. Working at Microsoft was anything but conventional. Employees often coded for days without a break. Gates himself believed that sleep is for the weak. He expected his team to work hard, but never more than he did himself. Managing the company while coding alongside his employees, he once went nearly 6 years, between 1978 and 1984, taking only 15 days off. Despite the intense work culture, Gates understood the importance of balance. He believed that allowing employees to take breaks kept them refreshed and productive. Microsoft's headquarters in Redmond was designed with recreational spaces for basketball, soccer, and other activities. A cafeteria remained open late into the night, ensuring that employees always had access to food during long work sessions. To foster team spirit, Gates also introduced microgames, an annual competition inspired by the mini Olympics he had enjoyed during childhood. This unique blend of competition, creativity, and relentless work ethic made Microsoft not just a workplace, but a breeding ground for innovation. Gates and intellectual property. What exactly is intellectual property? At what point does improving an existing idea cross the line into stealing it? These were questions Bill Gates wrestled with throughout his career. He believed there was a significant difference between copying and developing something further. If strict patents had existed in the early days of computing, the entire software and hardware industry might never have evolved. Fear of lawsuits would have prevented innovation and discouraged people from refining existing ideas. Gates had zero tolerance for outright theft. He was especially critical of amateurs who illegally copied Microsoft software. Some people believed that while hardware needed to be purchased, software should be freely available to everyone. Gates strongly disagreed. He argued that this mindset robbed software developers of their rightful earnings. If creators weren't paid for their work, they would eventually stop developing software altogether, hurting the entire industry. One of the most famous intellectual property disputes in tech history was between Apple and Microsoft. When Microsoft launched Windows, Apple accused them of stealing their graphical user interface. The legal battle stretched on for years, but in the end, Microsoft won. Gates defended Microsoft's position by pointing out that neither company had actually invented the graphical interface. Xerox had done it first. Both Apple and Microsoft had built upon Xerox's work, refining it into something more advanced and accessible. Gates argued that Microsoft hadn't stolen anything. They had simply developed and improved an existing idea. For him, innovation wasn't about reinventing the wheel, but making it better. His belief in continuous improvement over absolute originality shaped not only Microsoft's success, but also the way the software industry operates today. Lead from the front. Bill Gates is not the kind of leader who fits the traditional mold. He doesn't rely on formal speeches or authoritative commands. Instead, he uses everyday language, often throwing around casual phrases like super cool. He jokes with his employees, teases his colleagues, and sometimes even interrupts their work just for fun. His leadership style is unconventional, but one thing is certain. If you depend on him, he will do whatever it takes to help you achieve your goals. Despite his strong desire to lead, Gates understood that for a company to thrive, it had to function independently of its leader. A great leader doesn't just command from the top. They create a system that continues to grow even without them. This mindset helped shape him into the visionary he is today. Gates's leadership tendencies were evident from a young age. As a student, he and a group of classmates formed the Lakeside Programmers Club. It was there that he wrote his first code and developed a simple tic-tac-toe game. However, Gates was so engrossed in programming that he often monopolized the computer, refusing to let others use it. Frustrated, the group eventually asked him to leave. But once Gates was gone, the students quickly realized something. They needed him. He was the only one who could write the most efficient code and solve the club's technical challenges. Recognizing his value, they invited him back. Gates agreed to return, but only on one condition: he would take charge of the group. He made it clear that if he became the leader, it would be permanent. From that moment on, he was not just a participant, he was the one guiding the team. This early experience shaped his leadership philosophy. Gates didn't wait for opportunities. He created them. He didn't follow. He led. And when he took charge, he made sure he stayed at the forefront, driving his vision forward. Innovate, innovate, innovate. If no one has ever laughed at one of your ideas, you're not being creative enough. This belief has been at the core of Bill Gates' approach to innovation. Microsoft has always prioritized bringing the latest technology to its customers, and this relentless pursuit of progress has kept the company at the top for over 4 decades. No matter how one views Microsoft as a company, its impact on the world is undeniable. It has transformed the way people work, communicate, and interact with technology. Gates has always embraced a particular mindset: who is coming to beat me today? He understands that the world is full of brilliant minds, all striving to reach the top of the technology market. To stay ahead, he believes in continuous evolution, ensuring Microsoft always remains at the forefront. This philosophy has driven Microsoft to invest heavily in research and development. Gates firmly believes that software is a blend of art and engineering. One cannot survive without the other. That's why he ensured that Microsoft employees possessed a mix of both creativity and technical expertise. One of the company's recurring criticisms has been its frequent delays in releasing software updates. Gates, however, never saw this as a flaw. For him, quality was always the highest priority. If an update needed more time to ensure perfection, then delaying it was not just acceptable, it was necessary. In his eyes, innovation was never about rushing. It was about getting it right. Stress test your ideas. Bill Gates takes ideas very seriously. He believes that once a manager makes a decision, there should be no second guessing. That's why, whenever an employee presented a new idea, Gates wouldn't just accept it, he would stress test it rigorously. If the idea passed the tests of quality and innovation, he would go all in to bring it to life. But getting through that test was no easy feat. Gates was relentless when evaluating ideas. He didn't concern himself with sparing anyone's feelings. He would criticize, argue, and even raise his voice, challenging employees to defend their proposals under pressure. He created imaginary worst-case scenarios to see if an idea could hold up under stress. His philosophy was simple: only the strongest ideas should survive. This intense approach led some to accuse him of being a bully, someone who disrespected his employees. While that wasn't true, it was easy to see why people might think so. Gates had no patience for weak arguments. He expected his employees to fight for their ideas, to defend them passionately, just as he did. For him, if an idea couldn't withstand intense scrutiny, it wasn't worth pursuing. But if it survived the test, it had his full backing. Gates wasn't just looking for good ideas. He was looking for ideas strong enough to change the world. Learn from your mistakes. Bill Gates believes that success can be deceptive. It fools people into thinking they've won permanently, that they are invincible. But for him, success has always been temporary. The moment he achieves something, he moves on, focusing on the next challenge rather than dwelling on past victories. Unlike most, Gates is not known for celebrating success. Instead, he is known for reflecting on failures. One of Microsoft's most notable failures was Microsoft Bob. Microsoft Bob was an animated character designed to help users navigate their computers. However, the program was so sophisticated that it required high-end hardware to function properly. The market wasn't ready for it. Users disliked it, and Gates realized he had made a crucial mistake. He had introduced software that the world simply wasn't prepared for. Another major lesson came from Microsoft's near failure to recognize the importance of the Internet. When the Internet was first introduced, Microsoft ranked it as just the company's fifth or sixth priority. Fortunately, Gates had a moment of realization. He saw how the Internet was going to revolutionize everything, and Microsoft was dangerously behind. Instead of panicking, he took decisive action. He sent an internal memo to all employees, declaring that the Internet was now the company's top priority. Within months, Microsoft launched Internet Explorer, their own web browser. It went on to become the most widely used browser in the world for years, proving that even in the face of mistakes, quick adaptation and learning could turn things around. For Gates, failure is not something to be feared. It is something to be learned from. And in the fast-moving world of technology, the ability to adapt is what separates true innovators from the rest. The story of a rivalry. Bill Gates' competitive spirit was one of the biggest driving forces behind Microsoft's success. He had an unrelenting desire to win, whether it was a simple game of chess or an all-out battle against Apple. His hunger for success constantly pushed him forward. Steve Jobs wasn't much different. In many ways, their backgrounds were strikingly similar. Both were young visionaries from the U.S. who saw glimpses of an extraordinary future before the world did. Both were fiercely controlling leaders, and both entered a rapidly evolving tech industry at a time when innovation was reshaping the world. It was only natural that they would become rivals. However, there were fundamental differences between them. Gates focused on developing products for the existing business world, while Jobs was more concerned with creating for those who thought differently. Gates prioritized functionality, how well a product worked, whereas Jobs obsessed over aesthetics, design, and user experience. Their rivalry wasn't just professional, it became personal. Jobs took every opportunity to criticize Gates and Microsoft, even dragging them into court. The most famous legal battle occurred when Apple accused Microsoft of stealing its graphical user interface while developing Windows. Despite this, both Gates and Jobs knew the market was big enough for them to coexist. They understood that their fierce competition had made both Microsoft and Apple stronger. In the end, it was a battle with no true losers, only two companies pushing each other toward greater heights. Despite decades of rivalry, they also shared a complicated friendship. Near the end of Jobs' life, Gates visited him at his home. They reminisced about their early days, their battles, and how their rivalry had shaped their companies. They both acknowledged that their competition had played a crucial role in their mutual success. This story serves as a reminder. Rivalry fuels competition. Competition gives purpose, and purpose leads to success. Family. Bill Gates was never the kind of person who charmed others with a warm smile or planned romantic getaways. Instead, he spent most of his time in front of a computer, coding for hours on end. This wasn't exactly the ideal way to build relationships. Yet Gates was athletic, intelligent, and confident. qualities that naturally attracted some women. One of his most well-known relationships was with Anne Winblad, whom he dated for 3 years. However, they eventually parted ways because Gates wasn't ready to turn their relationship into marriage. This wasn't surprising. A man like Gates was always focused on pushing his company forward. He knew that marriage was inevitable at some point, but he wasn't in a hurry. He believed that when the time came, the woman he married would have to be someone truly special. That special person turned out to be Melinda French. Just 4 months after Melinda joined Microsoft, she attended the New York Trade Fair with Gates. Her intelligence and sense of humor caught his attention, and she, in turn, was pleasantly surprised to find that Gates was much funnier than she had expected. But their romance didn't take off immediately, and there's an amusing story behind it. When Gates first asked Melinda out, he casually suggested a date 2 weeks later. Melinda wasn't impressed. She had expected something more spontaneous and special for a first date. Realizing his mistake, Gates reconsidered. He called her again, and despite having a conference scheduled that day, he made time for dinner with Melinda that very night. Years later, their relationship led to a grand wedding. Despite his intense work ethic, Gates always knew how to balance his career and personal life. He prioritized his family above everything else. He believed in raising his children with a sense of normalcy, which is why he decided to donate most of his wealth to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation rather than leaving it all to his kids. He ensured that his children received the best education and upbringing, but he wanted them to carve their own paths rather than rely on his fortune. Gates believed that true success wasn't just about making money. It was about understanding the importance of family. After all, what's the point of achieving success if you have no one to share it with? No matter how ambitious you are, family should always come first. Read like Bill Gates. If you ever get the chance to see Bill Gates' personal library, one thing might surprise you. There are hardly any books on business studies. Gates never believed that becoming wealthy required formal business education. Instead, he believed in learning by doing. According to him, the best way to understand business is to jump into the field, face real-world challenges, and learn from experience. Books can be helpful, but only after you've actually started running a business. That being said, Gates has enjoyed reading several business books over the years. One of his favorites is The 10 Commandments for Business Failure by Donald R. Keogh, which highlights common mistakes that lead businesses to collapse. Another book he admires is My Years with General Motors by Alfred Sloan, which serves as a guide for young entrepreneurs navigating the business world. However, his all-time favorite business book is one recommended to him by Warren Buffett, Business Adventures by John Brooks. This book tells the stories of various companies, their successes, and their failures. Gates considers it the best business book he has ever read. For him, reading is not just about gathering knowledge. It's about gaining insights that help make better decisions. Take time to reboot. At first glance, Bill Gates might seem like someone who does nothing but work. However, even he takes time to indulge in his hobbies. He enjoys swimming, playing tennis, skating, and skiing. But with only 24 hours in a day, something had to give. So, what did he sacrifice? Sleep. Gates was known for working 36 hours straight without a break. However, as he grew older, exhaustion caught up with him. Finding time to rest became a challenge, but he knew he needed to adjust his lifestyle. Recognizing the need for balance, Gates took a step back. In 2000, he stepped down as CEO of Microsoft. handing over the role to Steve Ballmer. By 2008, he transitioned to part-time work at Microsoft, though his part-time workload was still equivalent to most people's full-time jobs. Then, in 2014, he stepped away from his chairmanship altogether. This didn't mean his life became empty. On the contrary, Gates redirected his time toward reading, writing, and working with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He traveled extensively to ensure that his charitable initiatives were making a real impact worldwide. The key takeaway? Rest is just as important as work. If you dedicate all your time to work without pause, you may eventually be forced to step away completely. Gates's relentless work ethic helped him achieve great success, but his ability to reboot and prioritize what truly mattered kept him moving forward. Give something back. In the beginning, Bill Gates wasn't focused on philanthropy. He believed that to achieve his goals, he needed to block out all distractions, including charity. In 1987, when asked about giving back to society, he replied that for the next 10 years, his sole focus would be Microsoft. After that, he would consider philanthropy. When the same question was asked in 1992, his response remained unchanged. Gates believed that his work at Microsoft was already benefiting society by advancing technology. However, once he started giving back, he never stopped. In the mid-1990s, Gates established the William H. Gates Foundation, named after his father. The inspiration came from his mother, Mary Gates, who had a profound influence on his life. She had always encouraged him to use his success to help others. Her passing in 1994, after a long battle with breast cancer, further motivated him to take philanthropy seriously. Before she passed away, Mary hosted a bridal event for Melinda and gave a heartfelt speech. Gates still remembers her final words that day. To whom much is given, much is expected. Gates took this message to heart. He wanted to ensure that his wealth reached those who truly needed it, which led him to create structured foundations. When he stepped down from full-time work at Microsoft, he stated that he wanted to focus more on philanthropy. In his words, with great wealth comes great responsibility, the responsibility to use resources for the greater good. Among his many charitable initiatives, the most well-known is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which he co-founded with his wife in 2000. Today, it is one of the world's largest and most influential charitable organizations. The foundation has made a global impact, particularly in healthcare. If polio is eradicated in the coming years, much of the credit will go to the foundation's relentless efforts. One of Gates's closest friends, Warren Buffett, became a trustee of the foundation and by 2021 had donated over $41 billion to support its mission. Buffett deeply admires Gates and trusts his ability to drive meaningful change in the world. While Gates initially postponed philanthropy, it wasn't because he didn't care. It was because he believed that waiting until Microsoft was stable would allow him to contribute far more. He wanted to first secure his success so that when he gave back, he could do so on a scale beyond anything he had ever imagined. And today, his vision has come true. The Gates legacy? Bill Gates has never been concerned about how people will remember him. It simply isn't in his nature. He doesn't care if history records how he spent his wealth or how he contributed to making the world a better place. Instead, he wants people to look back at history and see how much progress has been made, how poverty has declined, how child mortality rates have improved. For him, it doesn't matter who gets the credit. What matters is that the world continues to move forward, but regardless of what Gates wants, he will be remembered. He is not just another billionaire who made millions, donated to charity, and quietly faded away. He has done far more than that. Gates has shaped industries, changed lives, and left an undeniable mark on history. His journey is not just about wealth, but about vision, resilience, and impact. If there's one thing to take away from his story, it's this: be like Gates. Not just in terms of success, but in the way he thinks, innovates, and pushes boundaries. His legacy is not just about what he built, it's about the mindset that made it all possible. Conclusion. From a young age, Bill Gates had an intense passion for software and technology. He grew up in an environment that fueled his desire to compete, push boundaries, and challenge the status quo. Starting Microsoft was no easy task for him and his best friend, Paul Allen. They promised to deliver software that didn't even exist yet, but within 6 weeks, they not only built it, but successfully presented it. Their relentless effort paid off. Gates has always been a strong believer in intellectual property. He understood the difference between stealing and developing. He argued that improving an existing idea to make it better is not theft, it's innovation. One of the biggest lessons we can learn from Gates is the importance of leading from the front. It's crucial to prove your value to those around you. Otherwise, failure is inevitable. Stress testing ideas, putting them under pressure, and learning from mistakes are all key ingredients of success. And at the heart of it all lies innovation. In a highly competitive world, survival depends on mastering these principles. In the end, Gates's legacy will endure. He never cared about being remembered for his contributions. He simply wanted to make the world a better place. Yet whether he seeks recognition or not, history will always remember him as a true visionary, an innovator, and a real hero. Bill Gates' story is more than just a tale of success. It's a lesson in vision, determination, and continuous learning. His journey proves that innovation, resilience, and a hunger for improvement are what truly set great minds apart. What's your biggest takeaway from this summary? What inspired you the most about Bill Gates' way of thinking? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this audiobook summary, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights from the world's greatest thinkers. Keep learning, keep growing, and always challenge yourself to think bigger. Until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.